Close enough from there.
Please.
We'll call the Central Lake Township Board meeting to order, Wednesday, October the 15th, 2014. Start with the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Pulaski here. Coward.
Here.
Mullins.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Dean.
Here.
Do we have a quorum?
Is there any additions to the agenda? Not, can we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move.
I'll support.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Agenda is approved. Approval of minutes of September 17th, 2014, a regular board meeting.
If everybody's read them, I will make a motion to approve it.
I'll support.
Okay. Sure everybody is already read them. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Move on to public comment. Joe? Don't mind.
Don't mind, I'll read this from it. My name is Joe Wadley, and I'm the chair of the Finance and Personnel Committee for the Central Lake Village Council. I'm here tonight at the request of the Central Lake Village Council. At the last two township meetings, the subject of cooperation and consolidation have been a topic of discussion. With states incentive programs and declining revenues, we feel this is the time to investigate the possibilities. We are asking the township board at this time is approval to develop a committee between the village and the township to research the possibilities. We feel that with the combined efforts of both municipalities, we can find a definitive answer to whether or not there are cost savings or service improvements for the communities. We're not asking for the immediate consolidation, merely the effort to see if this is a viable cooperation. We understand, excuse me, we understand this to be a lengthy effort, but we believe it's well worth the effort for the citizens we represent.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Also, you'll notice this is an agenda item, and we'll
Yes.
discuss it and possibly vote on this tonight. Okay. Okay, anyone else? Walter?
I don't have any comments, but I got a question. Does that count?
Yeah, you got 5 minutes.
The beginning of the fiscal year, April versus the beginning of the fiscal year, I believe, right? And in the public improvements account, we had $301,858 and some odd cents. In May, it went up to $309,680, just about an additional $8,000. And since then, according to the last one this month, we're down to $141,726. But it didn't all come out of there at the same time. I'm wondering how much what was the bottom line for Bunker Hill Road improvements?
Do you have it? I mean, do you have it?
Not the exact figure, it was a little over 160,000, I believe.
Yeah,
Just,
I mean, I stopped giving numbers out of memory because then,
Not sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact figure, but.
Well,
I can get it, yeah.
between the high in May of $309,680 and some cents to the current one of $141,726 and some cents, there's a difference of $167,954 and some cents. Now, did any other money be spent besides on Bunker Hill Road out of that fund during that time?
No, I believe it's just Bunker Hill. And then we had to, the state made some changes, so we had to reimburse, because the county pays us ahead of time for delinquent taxes. So we did have to reimburse the county for some delinquent taxes that were wrote off or changed by the state. So, I mean,
That comes out of public improvements?
it comes out of every tax fund, so say they paid us ahead of time in May when we settle, or April. They'll write us a check to all our accounts, to the fire, to the public improvement, to the general fund, to pay for delinquent taxes up front, so we don't have to wait for delinquencies to be paid. But if the state adjusts anything later on, then we have to pay back that money that was given to us in the first place. Does that make sense, or did I make it more confusing?
Well, I thought public improvements was an account all by itself.
It is, but it's the tax revenue, it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with a specific account, it's just that tax revenue. Either the state decided to change the taxable value, say somebody went to the tax tribunal, and the taxable value was changed, so that would change the amount of, that they were delinquent.
Well, the last month, roughly $29,000 came out of public improvements.
That was to pay off the road commission. Remember, we didn't pay the full amount
Up front for
up
the
front,
road.
right?
So, but you know,
5% we pay.
Yeah, we paid 75% up front, and then we paid the last 25%.
when you know that, you got a guesstimate or an idea of what the 10% was that the county paid for the road?
Not off the top of my head. We can go look on the computer when we're done. Do you wanna go with me?
Okay. But basically, other than this, delinquent stuff.
Right,
And Bunker Hill Road, nothing else come out of that account.
that's correct.
Thank you.
I think the figure's like 29,000, something like that.
It
Yeah,
goes
I'll
up and
give-
down every month is what, I mean, do we get other than interest, does anything else go into that account from the time that we get it back from the tax rolls?
No, just any differences from the state, because once in a while, it will be an adjustment in the favor of the account or against the favor of the account, so that's just, little amounts here and there that they change. Sometimes big amounts, but typically.
Well, from July and August, it went up $3,000 for some reason. That's an insignificant amount, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying, no, I said sometimes it's more than a smaller amount.
It's probably Metro Act.
And then, oh yeah, the $3,000 is the Metro Act, from the state,
Oh, you get that every month?
every year, once a year.
Okay, from April to May, it went up $8,000.
That was the delinquencies from the county.
Oh, okay. And August to September is when we paid the last part of the Bunker Hill Road then.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, we'll move on to invoices, payment of invoices, $8,154.78.
I'll make a motion that we approve the invoices in the amount of $8,154.78.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Kozlowski, yes. Cotworth?
Yes.
Mullins?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes. Move on to officers' reports. Fire Chief Bill Chapman.
Thank you. Last month we had 25 calls. 6 were fire calls and 19 rescue runs. And we had no mutual aid last month, and we did 4 runs into Echo Township last month. We did some training in emergency medical services training, which included an 8-hour day-long training class in pre-hospital emergency care. We did station maintenance and we did truck maintenance. And that was our month. There were a lot of football games, including two full Saturdays of hot water.
And one very wet last Friday night.
Very wet, yeah.
Okay, any questions? None? Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Move on, treasurer's report. Andrew Smith.
Just submit my report and ask if anybody has questions about it. So,
Move on to clerk's report. Judy Gillespie.
You have nothing?
Move on to supervisor's report, mine, Stan Dean. TI is, well, actually, the DEQ has requested another test well, and the plume that is close to, goes along Intermediate Lake Drive, and they will be, they're coming in for a meeting tomorrow, and it should go in, I would assume, within the next month or so. So they just, I guess they feel that there's a possibility of moving in one additional direction, and they want additional test well. The Antrim County Sheriff's Department had 74 events in our township. That report's in the office if anyone wants to look at it. Township Ambulance Authority. Emmett County is the biggest share of Allied Ambulance's service. Emmett County is going to go on their own, and that leaves just a lot of things up in the air. They feel that they will continue in business Allied, and right now it looks like things will stay as they are, but without that, there might be additional cost increase, and we will have to continue to monitor that. That's all I have. Move on to committee reports, waste receiving station. That's between me and Andrew. I think everything is going up there. There's nothing you have problems with, is it?
No.
So waste receiving station is fine, operating fine. Move on to cemetery committee.
The guys have been starting to do the fall cleanup down in the cemeteries, and other than that, everything's running as it should be, and the rest of mine will be under A and down under new business.
Okay, facilities.
We have 2 quotes to do the floor in here, and then the hall and all of our offices, and it's about $16,000, but I don't want to make any commitment until after the first of the year and after elections are all done, because it'd be, we're gonna vote in there and use this room, and it'd be too much tear up. So, that's all I have.
Okay, any other committees? Do you have anything, Dave, on, I don't think there's any activity out there besides the poison ivy? Is there?
That's what I was asking, we already sprayed it once, correct, Sam?
I haven't gotten with Tony to ask
I
me
heard
that.
that he had sprayed it once.
Yeah, I hadn't got that from him yet.
Yeah, he had it set up to go out there again in the range. That was right in the middle of the range, and, I
Okay.
mean, it just,
I went out a couple weeks ago and took pictures of all but one of the sites. And at one of the sites, the adjacent residents was putting in new landscaping. And so they had taken out the posts that separate lake access from their property. I just talked to Sam tonight, he's gonna check with Tony to make sure when he does his check to have him put them back in. So, still got about 3 sections.
that's one on Lake Street.
I believe so.
Yeah, that builder said that they would put it back.
Okay.
But, I mean, well, I'm sure between us and Tony going out, that somebody.
Well, Tony's bigger than mine, I don't know this landscape. I don't want to
Bigger
get,
than Tony.
as big as Tony, let Tony handle it.
Dave, have you heard any more on the memorial? Have you talked to anybody?
Yes, it's, talked to several people. I think the biggest, problem we're gonna have is a finance. I talked to Mrs. Zelnak, and she and I are on the same page, as we don't do anything until we have the money for it. I don't wanna start something and have a hole out there on 88.
But you did get good feedback from the veterans you talked to us on this
A
since our last meeting?
couple of them, one of the veterans, he says, don't even talk to me about war memorials. He said, I was on the committee down in Bel Air, and I don't know who in Central Lake they got for a designer or architect, but the person did the job, took it down to them, and they said, oh, we can do this, we don't need this guy. And he says, I just got up and walked out of the meeting. He said, if that's what they're gonna do, I don't want anything to do with it. And so I was hoping to have him on my committee because he had some good input, but other veterans are fine. The VFW, they're on hard times, as you know. They're down to maybe 12 to 15 active members. I don't really see them financially committing themselves to anything like this. But I want to work with them because it is going to be for them eventually and future members. I've talked to Gary Dawson from the Historical Society. I guess he's in Antrim County Historical Society because he's went down to Alden where they are looking at putting in their own war memorial. And I said, let me know how that goes, where it is. I took pictures of the Bel Air Memorial. I went up to Charlottesville, I took pictures of their memorial, which is hard to find, but it's right off of Main Road. But, so everything kind of, all the balls are up in the air and we're trying to work with it. I would like to see a ad hoc committee approach this board and say, this is what we have, this is what we'd like to do, and this is where we got the money or we're getting the money from. One of the veterans I talked to gave me a figure, I thought it was kind of high of what he expected to get. And I can see where the Bel Air Memorial cost $200,000. It took 3 years. Through the pictures I took, it's very intricate. They had a lot of big donors. I don't see that money in this area. They had donors from Torch Lake, Alden has donors from Torch Lake, Bel Air from Shanty, Shush Mountain. There's money there that they can go to. We don't have that asset, unfortunately. But I'll keep at it. I gave myself a year to get something straight. I don't know what can be done during the winter months other than hold some meetings. I would like to have people on the committee that will come to me and say, this is what I have to offer. I don't want to have a committee of people socializing for 15 minutes to a half hour. So this is where that particular plan is right now.
Okay, any other committee reports? Not, we'll move on to unfinished business. The flower planters in the Southern Cemetery. Are you going to speak to that, Sam?
Or yeah, it doesn't matter who does. I've done some asking around, I can't seem to get any, and no way to answer me who did it, and who's gonna take care of it, and I kind of myself come to the conclusion that maybe we should think about tearing them out because of the shape they're in now.
Well, I was told that it was just years and years ago, it's for nobody's memorial, it was a bunch of guys that had rocks and mortar, and that was the project. It's a nothing. So I agree with Sam, we need to take them out, they're falling down, they look ugly.
They look horrible sitting there.
I have to plant the day before Memorial Day, because the deer eat it, and it's over, so.
So to me, I would make a recommendation to this board that we have the DPW guys tear them out when they get time. Because they're gonna be busy now.
You want to make that a motion?
I will make a motion to tear the stone flower planters out of the Southern Cemetery.
I'll support.
No further discussion? Not all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Both of them, right, Sam?
Yes.
Motion carried. Move on to new business, Consumers Energy, electric franchise renewal ordinance.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tim Petrosky, I'm area manager for Consumers Energy, and I'm here tonight to talk about a franchise. Excuse me. You may or may not know it, but there's an article in the Michigan Constitution that says utilities like Consumers Energy, Great Lakes, DTE, they have to get a franchise to continue operations, seek that effort. So that's what I'm here for tonight, is to seek the renewal, ask for your approval of the renewal for our electric franchise. It's the same, basically, as it was 30 years ago. This one would be, again, for 30 years, and that's why, like clockwork, somebody like me does show up every 30 years and ask for that renewal. We go for 30 years because it's cost effective. We have lawyers on our side doing it, you perhaps have lawyers reviewing it, so we want to get it for the longest period of time. It is revocable if if for some reason we don't perform in the future, you can revoke it. So I'm here basically to seek that renewal, but also to answer any questions you might have about the franchise, about Consumers Energy, and also let you know, since I haven't met most of them except for one, I am your liaison to Consumers Energy. If you have questions about anything we're doing, I'm the person to contact.
On the publication, do I publish the whole?
The whole thing, and we pay for that.
Under the conditions, for all the grantees, which is you, wires carrying electricity shall be, so on and so forth. The grantee shall have the right to trim trees
Yes.
if necessary. This past summer, driving around here, trees are leaning on the wire. I hear from people, telephone people should handle it. No, these people should handle it. And the trees are still leaning on the wires. Down 88, down North Intermediate Lake Road. I think they're pretty well cut away from 624. But it's just noticing if we can get something like that in Randy, so.
Well, let me, and I don't want to filibuster, but tree trimming is a tightrope we walk.
Right.
It is very controversial, but it still, to this day, remains our biggest cause of outages.
Okay.
What I can promise and commit to you today is to have somebody take a look and see if we think that it's something urgent, we should get out and take care of. Otherwise, we are on a rotational plan. It's basically 6 to 7 years is when circuits will be trimmed.
Wow. Okay.
So if you can give me those locations, I'll ask our forester.
I'll write them down.
Okay, and I have a card here too.
Okay, fine.
So if you can send me those locations, I'll have a forester come out and take a look and see. And if it is something, if it's urgent, we don't want an outage either because we have to scramble people to get them out. If it is something urgent, then likely we'll have it.
We just had an outage, was it last week, 2 weeks ago, right in the city, or in the village here.
Yeah, that was, did the insulator come off of the cross line?
Okay. Someone told me a tree.
Yeah.
before I come. Okay.
Well, during that storm, a lot of trees did go down, both with Consumers and with Great Lakes, but some of them trees looked fine before they got knocked down.
You have a question?
Well, I was wondering, consumers used to, when they come out and take care of a problem, they would chip it and get rid of it. These days, they come out to my place and they cut it and stack it in a pile. You got all the residue to take care of yourself. And what's an old woman do that has no money and she got a tree in her yard? But you don't do that anymore, I take it, right?
That's correct. It is, everything we do has to be approved by the Michigan Public Service Commission, and this ultimately is, costs are passed on to the customer. So it's something that we determine it's best not to absorb that cost and pass it on to the customer. So when we trim the trees, they are left on the property for the homeowner to dispose of. Many homeowners want it, they want to burn
Yeah.
wood. If they're, and again, what I can do, and I'm not me specifically, but if there is a unique circumstance, I mean, we like to think we have a heart, an elderly lady, elderly couple can't get rid of the wood. If the neighbors can't help, I would encourage you, I'll even give you a card, get a hold of me. I'm not necessarily the person to call about all these things, but I'll give you a card. You call me if there's a unique, special circumstance, and I can't make a promise, but we'll look into it and see what we can do.
In that rotation of 6, 7 years, where are we?
I don't know, frankly, I really don't know. And if you're on the list in the near future, I would have notification to notify you. But it's based on years, but also, if we see an increase in outages, we call it a troubled line, that would move up to the front of the list.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions, we need a motion to give me the authority to sign this, and the clerk.
I so move that we have the authority to sign this franchise ordinance.
I'll support.
No further questions, clerk, please call the roll.
Does Kozlowski, yes. Capwood,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you. Ms. Kozlowski, may I work with you? I don't know how many, you do a lot of these, most folks don't. So I'll follow up with you, because we
Okay.
gotta publish it.
Yeah, I see that.
All
She
legal
sent it.
stuff
Yeah.
within a certain amount of days.
Okay,
And one other thing, just leave a card here too. And I've talked with Sam about this in the past though too. Regarding the Veterans Memorial, we have a foundation. I have a small contributions budget, again, no promises, but if there's worthwhile things like that, please reach out and we can talk about perhaps making a contribution.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, wanna look into paying off the fire truck. Andrew, would you like to handle that?
Yeah, I'll explain now. As of tomorrow, the payoff for the fire truck is $269,599.38. And right now, the fire department's paying $3,500 a month in payments. So that equates to about $42,000 a year. So if we loan the money to the fire department interest-free, that will get the fire truck paid off a year early, with them paying the same amount. And then it will also save the fire department roughly $39,043.53 over the life of the loan. So it's a big cost savings, especially when, you know, we're paying out, I think it was 3.737 in interest for the fire truck, and we're only making 0.1%. So it's kind of no-brainer if we have the money, you know, to use that and save almost $40,000 for the fire department.
And
Walter, you have a question?
Yeah, would the funds for this come out of the general fund?
We would loan it from the general fund to the fire department. Kind of like we did for the fire hall, to pay off the fire hall.
So that's gonna be
It will come out of,
about 35% or more of the general fund money, right?
it'll be,
you want this in?
Who?
You want this?
how much did you say, Walter?
I'm guessing around about 35%, because you're saying you're gonna take out roughly $270,000 out of the $650,000?
Yes.
No problems with that, huh?
No, I checked into it and, we don't have any major expenses coming up for the rest of this fiscal year. And so we'll be getting taxes and, you know, we have enough, operating to carry on even with loaning that money to the fire department.
So you're gonna do this before we go through the budget process, huh?
Tomorrow. We're gonna pay it off tomorrow.
We looked at it when we did go through the budget, and we wanted to go further on into the year before we decided to do that. We are, Andrew just gave you the figures, and we're comfortable that we have enough to finish our year, and it's just, the township is in good shape financially. The fire department is a little bit tighter, and anything that we can do to help the fire department so that we don't have to increase taxes, we're going to do it.
So the fire department's gonna gain by not paying interest, and the township's gonna lose by paying the interest.
Well, the amount of interest that we make over the 7 years, 7 years, not factoring any payments that they made back to us, it was $812. But if you're factoring in 44, that's all we would make in interest over the 6 years on this.
Well, wait a minute now. If we have $650,000 and some odd dollars in the general fund, how much interest do you get a month for that interest?
Well, that's what, well, you don't figure the interest on the whole thing, you only figure interest on the $269,599 that you're taking out of the fund, because you'd still be making interest on the rest of it.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So
but
you're saying the interest that we would gain from $270,000 is how much money?
it's only about $812 over the 6 years, and that's factoring that they pay it all back at the end of the time. Because Alden, on our general account, doesn't pay interest, We make interest off of the CD, which is gonna be left alone.
Alden doesn't pay us interest on our general account?
I've talked to him numerous times about that, and that's part of the reason divesting, based on the auditor's recommendation and Alden's unwillingness to work with us on paying interest, like other banks do, so that was a major factor in divesting from them.
Well,
So,
we got half our money in Alden Bank.
well, they pay, that's what I was carrying on. They pay, in the general fund, the checking account, the top number, 163,542,
Right?
that's the one that doesn't earn interest. The CD on the bottom, that one doesn't earn interest, and it changes monthly. It's a 30-day revolving CD that makes around 0.15%. That's been the typical amount. And then where the money is gonna come from is the class account, the general class investment, the third one down there, 252,926, 76. That one's paying 0.1% right now.
That's in Alden Bank?
No, that's in, it's called MBIA. It's, I don't know for sure who runs it, but that's the account that the state of Michigan uses to pay us any state shared revenue, any Metro Act. That's where they paid into that account, and then we go from there. So that's kind of a forced hand to have that account open, but
So it's costing us $800 and some
to save almost 40,000, yeah.
Thank you.
I have one question
Yeah.
involved in that. When is our tax year, when do we collect our taxes? Beginning of the year, December,
December
November?
1st.
So this number will actually go back up here very shortly.
Yeah, and yeah, I'll send out tax
Okay,
bills.
because it puts that fund back down to 380 and we still have 7 months to go in our budget.
Right,
But that fund will also grow, as you're telling me, by January and February.
definitely.
Okay.
The taxes are due by February 14th, so.
Yep.
Okay, also in Alden, the 1.5%, they are giving us extra on that fund to kind of compensate the money that we have in the checking
Oh,
account.
they stopped that with the
Did they?
new regulations, new FDIC regulations.
Okay, that had to stop with the new in the beginning.
Yeah, it's just on the CD funds amount now.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we pay off the fire truck. I think that the township taxes, it's money that's paid, and if we can save, it doesn't make any difference whether it's on the fire millage or, we operate on 1 mill, and the township, fire department collects 2, and taxpayers are paying it. And any place that we can save them money, that, so I'll make the motion that we pay that off.
I'll support it.
Any further questions? Not? Clerk, please call it roll.
Kozlowski, yes. Catlett? Mullins?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes. Also, I'd like to make one additional comment. I think that our fire department is constantly working to save every penny they can save. They realize how tight it is also. And I think that they've helped by keeping the taxes down. Move on to an estimate for the garage in the cemetery. I believe you handled that, Sam.
What we did is we went out and got estimates for, down in the cemetery, we have a, I'm gonna call it a work stall that the guys work in the garage where they work on all the equipment. Really has no sufficient heat for the winter months, so I come to the board and ask them to approve a bid to put a regular overhead commercial heating unit. Right now what they got a little LP thing that has no vent on it, so you know where the fumes are going inside the building. Not kosher. So I come back to and had Tony get me Tony took care of it, got prices from the 2 local contractors. And I would like to request, we accept one of their bids to install a heater down there for them. This will be run on a thermostat, commercial unit like I have in my garage for big bays, big openings.
We have the same furnace that they have right now, in the garage when Larry had a leak. Consumers came out and said, take it out. It's the most toxic furnace you can have. We
And
had to hang wall.
And even up to the waste receiving station, I don't know if anybody's went in and looked, we got the same thing on the wall in there, in that little dinky room.
Yeah. So
If
every
I'm
time
not
it
mistaken,
leaks-
we went out, the fire department went out to Torch Lake last year and got somebody out of a shanty that burns with LP gas, and it wasn't good. So I wouldn't mind even looking at maybe possibly a little Eden Pier for, in that little dinky part of the building, for the guys up there too. Because it's a ventless LP unit, and it's not kosher. There's fumes going somewhere. Which I don't think we need approval for that, because it's such a small purchase. But this is a bigger purchase.
Well, D&M is a bigger unit for less money than the 40,000,
I think it's all a matter of efficiency,
yeah.
but you gotta remember, if an 75,000 BTU unit's gonna get put in there, that's probably only 55,000 BTUs output. Input and output, there's a big difference. Dean's may be the BTU, or Matt's may be 40,000 output, and he wrote it up that way. We don't know that.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming both of these guys are good enough contractors, Matt's Mechanical and D&M, that they know how to go in and measure up a unit for square footage for how much heat they need, according to the door openings and the windows that are in the building.
And it makes no sense for them to be running back and forth with their paint cans and put them in a basement.
Correct.
Is there insulation in the building?
All been, Tony, over the last 2 years, has insulated it and put OSB board on the inside. So, the only thing, electrical outlets would be the only thing I would question. And I see here it says install wall plug.
Yeah.
It says on both of them, the
No.
contractor's, pardon?
Oh, good.
It says the contractor is responsible for all permits included. So,
Oh,
we don't have anything to do with that.
well, does electrical not included? For both of them. So that's what I was wondering, if we have a plug near it?
It says install wall plug on the heater and plug into outlet.
Not
Provided.
So I don't know if we have an outlet near where they're gonna put it, you know, if
They
there's.
would probably pigtail it, but there may be an additional cost to get an electrician to run one wire.
Mhm. Yeah,
Can't think that's gonna be but about $200
right.
for an electrician to run a wire. I know it's very needed down there.
Mhm.
This being used every day.
It will be, yes, it'll be used all winter. Right now, if you guys I'm just gonna tell you, if they put the pickup in there because something broke on the plow and they had to let snow thaw off it, it'd probably take it two to 3 days to unthaw all the snow. That thing they have in there now, and who wants to walk in there after it's been closed up for 24 hours, knowing what the fumes are, LP gas, no vent.
How long has that LP gas unit been there?
Not long at all.
I wanna say maybe 2 years. This might be the second winter.
We talked about it last year, and somehow we ended up with an LP salamander, which that's not even safe at all. So,
I'll make a motion to go with D&M. You think that's a better deal?
who's the township use the most?
We use D&M.
That's what, that's.
I mean, not,
Yep.
just back over the years that he's the one that, and once in a while we use Team there to do a little bit of the work, but
It's
it worked out.
it's awful nice to stay with the same contractor because you get very good service back out of it. I use Matt down to the garage at my shop, so, only because he does wonderful service for me, no other reason. If I call him, he'll be there, same thing down here, if you call D&M,
They're
he'll
here.
be here to do it.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a,
I'll second.
okay, now we have a support. Any further discussion?
And I got one other question on it. Please.
Okay.
No. Then the next question comes in on this overhead unit is, do we want to hook it up to Michigan Consolidated Gas? Got Michigan out the backside. It's LP gas now.
Okay.
And that'll make a big difference on how they order that furnace. Because it's either gonna be an LP kit or it's gonna be natural gas. It's gonna be natural gas, it's within 200 feet. So I'm gonna tell you that the gas company will probably charge the township about $200 to run natural gas into that building.
200,
Is
well,
that-
I feel safe.
If they're within 200 feet, usually it's right around the $200 range.
Okay, I haven't read any dealings for a long time, so
And at that point, if we get away from them LP tanks,
that's what you want to do.
what do you, how do you guys feel?
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's not even okay, you want to include that, a motion that we, have it, hooked up to natural gas?
Right.
Yes, it's, to me, it's the only way to go.
Who supported that motion?
Is that fine with you? Include the gas?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, any further discussions? Not, clerk call the roll, please.
Slosky, yes, Cutler?
Yes.
Mullins?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Will you call Dean now?
Yeah, I'll call gas company too,
Okay.
because I can call them direct.
Okay, we're looking at a grant, I'll turn that over to you, Andrew, you've done all the work on it.
The DEQ, for the last few years have been doing a scrap tire cleanup grant. Believe Emmett County had one last month, or a unit within Emmett County had one last year, and it was, pretty popular. So with that, C&M Rubber Technologies in Coleman is the closest one. They're about 125 miles away. Their cost includes the first 100 miles of travel, and then it's $1 per mile after that. So it's about $25 extra for travel, which the DEQ will also pay for. They would drop off a trailer on Thursday or Friday, and then come back and pick it up on the next Monday, right afterwards. It would be a 53-foot trailer, which would hold between about 800 to 1,200 passenger tires. The minimum fee is $1,000, and that includes the first 500 tires. And that's what the grant's for, is for $1,000 plus the extra mileage. And then, after that, it's $2 a tire. Does anybody have questions about the grant, and then I can kind of explain a little bit more? The grant's due in, about a week and a half, so that's the only thing with that.
Yeah, I have a note here, it says, free to residents of Antrim County.
Actually, that wouldn't be, correct, it can only be the municipality applying for it. So if Antrim County was to do it, then it would be all the Antrim counties, but since Central Lake Township is applying for this grant, we have to, it actually says in the grant that we're required to ask for ID to prove that somebody is a township resident.
That's what I wanted to check, make sure that,
So it would be township village, since the village is within the township, so.
and are we sure we're gonna get this grant?
Well, that's what, I was thinking, if we get the grant, then I believe we should do the tire collection for free for everyone. Because,
Central Lake.
for the township, all eligible people. And then, because, they pay up to the first $1,000, and then after that, say we get 800 tires, it would be a $600 cost to the township. But it would be hard to say, because say you charge $1 a tire, but you only get, say, like 300 tires. Well, we just charge $300, but we're not allowed to profit off of this. So we would be profiting because the grant would still be paying for the whole trailer. So that would be, that's kind of iffy, not knowing how many tires we're gonna receive, so.
Once we get this in place, how long will this program go on?
It would be one day.
Or just the one day?
It's a one cleanup day, because we can't store any tires or anything according to, with the DEQ, so it'd be for one Saturday,
Are we planning on advertising in local papers?
Yeah, I was planning on advertising, and then my other thought was, if we could just, if we didn't get the grant, maybe still go ahead with it, because, and then we could maybe charge $1 a tire, we'd split the cost with the resident, $1 from the township and $1 from the resident. And that way then we could make a solid plan with the company, and then start advertising it either way, and then, maybe include a note with a tax bill, or, some other way, so that way then everybody's informed of it.
Now, how do you check the residency through driver's license?
Through driver's license, yes,
For utility billing?
or a utility, just something,
That
or a
should-
tax
should be
bill,
part of the
or,
ad,
That will be.
right, yeah.
What about numbers of tires brought in?
The grant limits it to seven per resident.
Andrew, do you know when it might be? Are you talking spring or?
It would be next spring, yep. You can't have it before April 1st. We're thinking maybe around mid to late May. Hopefully, you know, when people get back into town after the
I
winter.
love that idea, thanks.
Well, did you still have a question?
You answered it, Nick.
Okay.
Okay, you looking for a motion to apply, or?
I think, maybe, do you mind if I do it? Because I think there's two motions maybe that I would like to make.
Okay.
The first motion would be that we apply for the grant, and if we receive the grant, that we, don't charge for the tires, make it free for all township residents, and, plan for, you know, mid to late May for that. And then, do I wait for the second motion, or?
I'll
Okay.
I'll support that motion.
Okay, we'll call for the question on the first motion. All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And my second motion is that we go ahead and schedule with C&M Rubber Technologies for that date, and we would go ahead with a tire disposal day and charge $1 per tire if we were not approved for the grant.
Okay, the only thing is, we don't, is there any number that they require?
The 500 tires, yeah, up to 500. I mean, they come and get whatever you get, but 500 is the minimum. So it would cost, if we didn't have the grant, it would cost the township 1,000 minus whatever we collected in tires. So if we collected 300 tires again, it would cost us 700. So I think it's a good thing to do, since either way, because I mean, what do you do with a tire if you have one in your backyard?
Either throw it off the side of the road, throw it in the woods.
So, I mean, it's one of those things that we can't normally take at the waste receiving station.
Mosquito hatchery out of it.
Right, exactly. So my second motion is that we go ahead and schedule a C&M Rubber Technology. If we don't receive the grant, we will charge $1 per tire.
You have support for
I'll
that?
support that.
Would that be for just one day also then?
Yes, that's what, yeah, they just, with tires, it's really hard because you can't do it over an extended period of time, because we would have to be an authorized storage facility to hold tires for a longer period of time than that. So since it comes in their trailer, the trailer is still the authorized storage facility from the company, so that's how that works with the DEQ there.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
You'll file the grant.
Oh,
Okay, we'll move on to the township maintenance employees in the village department of public works. I looked into this, and some of it I'll repeat from what I said last month. I do not see where there is any savings at all for the township. I looked at all different angles, I talked to a few different people, and we don't feel there's anything there. All we see is problems. First of all, we have different work weeks. Our week starts on Tuesday, ends on Saturday. That would create a problem. Also, the village, they take their money out of, for their DPW, out of most of their funds that money can only be used for those funds. So if we are gonna use village employees, we're gonna have, the only way you're gonna do that is have a contract with the village. And they are going to have to charge us. There's gonna be a paper trail on where these wages come from. It'll be a contract somewhat like we have with Echo Township with Fire Department. It'll be, there's costs in that. Plus, if we have, let's say, a part-time employee doing the work, we end up with a village employee coming out doing it. What if they send the most expensive person? That's gonna be a loss to the township. Our employees, they're good employees. It takes very little supervision. we give them the job that needs done, and they complete that job. We have the management on this board. If there's any help needed or any management, every one of us here have experience in management. And we feel we're more than capable of taking care of our own management. Sam has a lot of knowledge, but also he's a board member here, and anytime you needed advice from him, he's been more than just willing and did his part as a board member. So going into that contract, I feel that you're going to create all kinds of paperwork, and we have something that's simple, that works very well for us, and why do we want to go into something that's complicated? I feel the village, with their management, it would be all on Sam. I mean, they don't have time to manage the village. They went to a village manager, and it's just another level thrown in there. The complaints to the township come into most of them come into the clerk. And we don't want to go through somebody else. We want to go directly to our employees and get these complaints handled in an express manner.
Plus, I've talked to our insurance company, we cannot bond non-employees. I've talked to the township attorney, and he said it's more trouble for you than it's worth because it's gotta be done by contract. And I'm not willing to do all the paperwork involved for him.
And then also 2 days is up at our recycling center, and I'm not going to give that authority to anybody for my part, and I don't think the treasurer wants to, and I don't think by law he can give that away. He has a responsibility. There's a lot of cash handled up there. We worked it out between the treasurer, myself, and the auditor, what steps we would take. And we want our employees that are bonded in there. And there's not going to be any bend on that, as far as I'm concerned, on those 2 days. So we're only really talking about 3 days. And I see no advantage to it. And I'll turn it over to the other board members.
Well, I think it's crazy that we close our mind to it. This isn't something that's gonna happen right away. This is gonna take a long time to figure out all the logistics of it, if it ever did happen. And I think we're all aware of that, the village board and the township board, and the village people and the township people. But to just say we're not interested without looking into it, I'm sure there's probably firms all around this country that look at town consolidation of municipalities of different types. And I don't know if maybe between the village board and the township board, maybe at least get the heads of these departments together and let them sit down and at least talk. That's kind of my feeling, and see where it goes.
Okay.
How many employees do you have?
Pardon?
How many employees?
We only have 3, the village, township has 2, so it's only 5 people we're talking about here.
So, I mean, just so in order to save money, you'd have to get rid of a job.
But,
Right. I mean,
no, there's other ways to save
A
jobs.
man-hour is a man-hour. It takes 5 man-hours to do the work here.
well, what I'm saying is, like, how would we, I'm just curious, like, preliminarily, how would we,
I'm
you
not,
know, I'm just trying to think, because then we'd have to, I mean, how else would you reduce wages besides
I'm
reducing?
not, I don't know enough about it because I haven't researched it far enough, so I'm not gonna get into that, but I feel there's other ways we can benefit, the village can benefit the township. There's other opportunities out there. The village has a police department. There's, maybe that police department can help some of the people within the township. So all the township people aren't relying on only the county. But that's what I said, I think we need to get professionals that have done this, because I can tell you right now, I'm not smart enough to do it, and I would definitely need all the help in the world. I know that.
If you want to go into that, I was a county commissioner in Macomb County. A lot of the township had police department. I believe everyone now except two is contracted with Sheriff's Department. And, I mean, I'm just not gonna get involved with that.
For their public safety.
Right. And, we collect 1 mil, and we have to work with that. The village has 12 mil.
Oh, no, let's not go back. We
Oh,
collect
yeah.
1 mil, they collect 12 mils. We're gonna get in an argument, that's all we're gonna do.
Okay,
And
well,
unfortunately, the township board and the village board have been fighting too much. We need peace and harmony amongst all of them. There's 5 people on this board, there's 7 people on that village board. Them 12 people need peace and harmony amongst ourselves before this we can even think about. And that's what the truth is.
well, I mean, that's, you know, we all have opinions, and we all know the value of opinions. I've been through a lot of this, and Judy did research through the MTA, talked with the attorney there, and, I mean, our advice is not to go with it. You know, I mean, everybody says we have the same taxpayers. We have some of the same taxpayers. There's about 900 in the village. We have probably another 1,300 out there that we have to look at, and, I mean, it just, I'm not,
I will grant.
again, I mean, we'll have a vote on it. Sure, go ahead, Joe.
May I interact here for a little bit and just a quick thing here? I did some research also on this, and this comes directly from Governor Rick Snyder, is that Michigan has 1,773 municipalities, 609 school districts, 171 fire departments, and 608 police departments. While the state pushes cooperation amongst Michigan's local governments, some local officials say consolidating services doesn't always save money, while others in communities have been consolidating for years. Governor Rick Snyder has encouraged municipalities to work together. Consolidating local government services such as police, fire, and other services have been a recurring theme for his local reform efforts. He's replaced a portion of the local revenue sharing system for municipalities with incentives for eligible communities to represent a plan and consolidate services with other local governments. Meanwhile, the legislators sent the Municipal Partnership Act to Snyder for his approval. It sets guidelines for merger agreements allowing combined municipalities to levy a millage and use tax revenues. It has not yet been signed into law, but Snyder has said he supports making the merger process easier for local governments. While many communities consider consolidating, there are many studies on its effects, there aren't many studies on its effects, said Jeremy Wilson, the research director of the School of Criminal Justice for Michigan State University. Wilson is beginning a 2-year study of the long-term benefits and disadvantages. It's important for communities to get a better sense of the different ways in which consolidation can be done and the advantages and disadvantages of all the models so they can be better informed decision makers in regards to their own community. While some communities mull if consolidation is right for them, others have moved ahead. In the Upper Peninsula, local governments have been cooperating for years out of necessity, said the city manager of Marquette. Anywhere you go in the Upper Peninsula, you'll find that the level of local service provision is highly cooperative, highly collaborative, and it's been working like that for the better part of 160 years. Wexford County shares assessing, prosecuting, and building home permit services with the city of Kalkaska, said Kent Hinton, the city administrator, county administrator. Most of these changes have taken place since 2009.
Joe, I think all of us have read that. How long are you gonna go on? I mean,
Just
this is
to
a
go
topic
through
for
this
you.
a little bit here more, there's also, the key to making shared services and consolidation work is partnering with communities that have similar populations, demographics, and economies. Basically, they're saying the more similar you are, the better it'll work. Michigan Department of Treasury has announced 32 Michigan communities will receive competitive grant assistance program, which is CGAP, which has taken over the EBIT program. 10.5 million this last year, which takes a total of 14.8 million given to municipalities that have combined, that have found ways to make it work. Given the economic realities we face today, it's more important than ever that the municipalities, school districts, intermediate school districts, and institutes the best practices developed to innovate, collaborate, and leverage their limited resources. All we're asking is that you be open-minded and you truly sit down and look at the possibilities of this. To totally dismiss it on him because you don't want to work with the village, you don't like the president, you don't like the other guy that's sitting there, I think is not effective for any of us. We all are chosen by the people to represent them and to do the best for them people. And to dismiss this with closed mind isn't productive for any of us. Again, this is your guys' decision. I've come here out of, with the board, Central Lake Council's board's approval, asking them to at least consider it. Let's create a committee. Stan, don't make that decision. Don't make a decision that can't work. I don't wanna make that decision. Let's create a committee. Let's put people, get people from the public to get involved. Joe Renner was here last month. The guy's smart. I think he would be a great guy to sit on this to say, can it work? Is there more numbers to crunch? Is there stuff? This isn't about necessarily dollars and cents of just wages. There are other things that can be considered, and I hate to just shut the door on this. I don't think it's right to the constituents.
Pat?
Probably shouldn't say this, but if the village really wants to save money, the best way to do it is to just ban their government and just act as a township. I mean, then you'd save some money, big money.
That's what I feel, and I feel that right now, the villages don't have the time to manage it themselves. They've hired a manager, and then they wanna come in and help us manage our township. You just seen what we just did to save taxpayers' money with the fire department, and we've researched it, and,
Stan, that's not what they're asking.
It's not at all.
You're blowing that one.
Let me ask you, say you've researched it, and again, I just asked this question.
No.
What does it cost to operate the township's DPW?
what's it
I don't
called?
have figures.
If you've researched it, how do you know what it even costs you
Joe?
to operate your DPW? I've done the research and I can tell you that according to your budget, it's $109,300.
Well, that's hard to believe, because we've only taken $120,000 a year in
All
tax
right,
revenue,
Mike,
so.
Joe.
Well, I'm telling you, if you add up
Let's say
all
that
of
the rest
your
of the
wages,
township.
if you add up your wages, your,
I don't
everything
know how long
involved.
we're gonna argue about this,
But you're right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But we also
Sorry
make
about
money
that.
off
No,
of.
you're right, I'm not here to argue about it, I think
but,
people's mind don't know.
it doesn't seem to be real popular right now to talk about any kind of mixing of the government set. What about, same thing as all the fire departments, almost everywhere do, is a mutual aid agreement. If you need a hand and we got the people, we give you a hand. If we need a hand, you got the people. And under those kind of agreements, if we don't have the people, we don't do it. And there's no charge either way. Our insurance covers us with a mutual aid agreement, covers us to work with you. Yours and covers you when you're working with us.
I mean, if there's an emergency situation, we all love this.
Well, that's-
This area, you know we're gonna help out.
I don't think that's even a
Command,
question.
That's the point though, if you don't have an agreement, then there's a question whether your insurance is gonna cover you if you're working. But with the mutual aid agreement, and we got that through Brian Grand, for the county. And so county, well, not just county, we got district-wide.
That may be a very good way to start something
And
like this.
that's exactly right.
At least we're looking into it at that point to see if the departments can actually work together and share equipment
Right.
by the mutual
And
aid.
it alleviates all of the paperwork too, of the calculating who spent how many hours on what. It's mutual aid.
I mean, we've got two different operations. And-
We do.
And it's not like the fire department where it's life and death.
No, but
And,
we have mutual aid with other departments that have towers, and we don't have one. You know, an aerial unit. The village has access to large loaders and dump trucks, the township doesn't, but occasionally the township needs one. Instead of renting one, they could have a mutual aid agreement that,
okay.
This furnace in the ground.
and that's all, that's all I'm talking about. If it doesn't work, it isn't cost you anything.
I'm gonna withhold my question.
I mean, I think, have we discussed it enough that we wanna go to a vote?
I don't know how to make the motion.
I'll make a motion that, the township, manage their own DPW and, let the village manage theirs.
That's an easy way to say it.
I support.
Any further discussion?
You want a roll call?
Roll call, please.
Kozlowski, yes. Cutler?
Yes.
Mullins?
No,
Smith?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes. Okay, move on to public comment. Ms. Older.
oh, look, they got hands
Mr.
up.
Walter. Oh, let Melissa have a shot.
Well, when Mr. Cotwick and I went down to the cemetery, we met last month and chatted about the memorial project, and we went and looked at the memorial that's already there. And we were kind of bummed out and shocked because there was big hunks of brick falling out of it, and I don't know who the person to fix that is, or who it belongs to, or what we can do, but I mean, you'd lean on it like that, and literally hunks were falling out of it. I took pictures all around. There's probably 4 or 5 spots that you could touch it and a brick would fall out. So I really hope we can fix that. I don't know what the solution is or who would do it, but something's got to occur.
Melissa, I do have pictures of it down in my garage too, and I have looked at it, and I don't know who is responsible for that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't.
DFW, does anybody know?
Do you have a DFW meeting tomorrow?
Next Tuesday, this upcoming
Did you
Tuesday.
ask?
Yeah, well,
Because I'm sure we have somebody that has enough talent around here that would.
Well,
volunteer
that
time.
same day I
It's
happened to
better
see
than
Mr.
people.
Johnson putting in the sign up at the school, you know, the mayor's sign, and he's doing all the brickwork and tile, and I said, Mr. Johnson, I was just down here, and I'm pretty sure that he would volunteer to fix it, you know, if everyone thought that he was able to. You know, I'm not speaking for him, but I would certainly beg
Yeah.
him, or, you know, figure something out. It's just not cool. It's
I'm sure
bad.
you've got veteran masons around that could go down and fix
Yeah,
that. I'll do
somebody.
nothing to it on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah,
it's the one that they do the Memorial Day thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
And like she said, all 4 corners have a brick, part of
Yeah.
a brick falling out somewhere around it.
Thank you.
Walter?
I'm assuming that the township has decided not to give receipts for tax payments?
It's included on the bill, if you, it says tax receipts provided upon request. So if you just write on your deposit, your slip that you send in with it, just say receipt, and I'll mail you one, or give me a call or whatever.
Okay,
Um,
I didn't see that on there, huh? My
yeah, it's,
mistake.
yeah, right on, like right in with hours and everything right there.
Thank you.
Why do you not mail receipts?
Cost
Saving money.
savings, because overall, there's probably, I'd say, last year, there was only about 100 people, 125 people that requested receipts, or ever wanted them, you know, even after they realized that they weren't coming, that called. And so there's about 2,200 parcels, so that's 2,100 receipts that you'd be mailing twice a year. So it's at least $2,000 just in postage alone, you know, for people not needing receipts. A lot of people use the bottom portion of their tax bill and their canceled check is what they use for tax purposes. So there's no, just decide there's no need to replicate that when a lot of people just throw out the receipt once it arrives anyways.
So it's just a management decision, there was no amendment or
Correct.
agenda item?
Right, it was just yeah, because all the receipts are stored electronically, which is in compliance with the state, so we have, the state gives us a thing every 2 years that says that we're allowed to keep electronic records. And so I keep those, and then they're backed up in 2 locations, so it has redundancies built into the electronic system as well.
Anyone else? Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
You can give it. No, to go.
Get me a
Oh,
letter.
that's fine.
Oh,
I wanted you, because I wanted you taking me in there first.
oh, okay, I just wanted to show you the
Where you're
the line.
going, yeah. Where's gonna be the best spot?
Well, did you deduct any,